friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters, Zone 5/6. And it's a special time because the fall garden is going to be started now. So let me do the sound check real quick. Tell me what I'm about to say. Firefly. Yes, let me know, because we are live. And apparently, if you guys watch the Monday live on the Thrive Like a Viking channel, apparently on this channel we can still do horizontal method, because I haven't got the streaming software yet. Just letting you know, but I will soon. So it's a learning experience. Okay, good. Thank you guys for commenting. Yes, Donald Hughes, Firefly, good to see you. Pam, Darala, yes, good to see you. Good Citizen, Lady Green Thumb, GAW, Muddy Paws, of course. Good to see you guys. Naturally by Darla says, hello from Chicago, South Side. Just came in from pruning and tying up tomatoes. Have lots of weeding to do, but it will wait until after Nate. It can wait till after Nate. That's right, my friends. Because we'll learn all kinds of good stuff that we can then go and utilize in the garden. So don't forget, guys, one of the best parts of this live stream is the tribe. And so the comments. So people are sharing their experience and their wisdom, things that they've gained, in the comments. And so that's really wonderful. Make sure that you watch that as well. So yes, you're tying up tomatoes, Darla, then yes, it's now is the time. So there's several different types of things we can do with the tomatoes. Some years I've went all out and did the string method with the indeterminate tomatoes. Now that has a good advantage, okay? You can pack a lot more plants into a smaller area, all right? Now I could pack 6 plants in the size of an area that now I would put 2 plants using a different method. So the string method can work, but it is maximum work input, okay? Pruning off them suckers, worrying about the suckers. I went away for 2 days or something and the suckers are half the size of the plant and stuff. There's a lot to it, but it can be great. If you're into that kind of high maintenance stuff, high maintenance, high output, it's wonderful. And if you're in like a real humid area where they need a lot of airflow, then that's great. But another method that I'm utilizing that this year is where you just plant it and you put a real cage around it, not those generic little things you get from the store. We made these out of concrete reinforcement mesh. You know what I'm talking about? Those rolls that used to be like $75 for a roll. Now it's like $300 for a roll of it. So that they're not quite as economically viable. But they're 2 foot in diameter, 2.5 feet in diameter, these cages, and they're 4 or 5 feet tall, something like that. And then you just plant the tomato plant and let it go wild. You don't prune, you don't do anything. Other than just sometimes when you do your morning walk through the garden or your evening walk through the garden, whatever it is you can do, then you just gently, if the tomatoes are poking out of the cage, just bring them back in for a while so that they train to go upwards. But now they're just going huge tomatoes all over the place. They're all green still, but very healthy, very wonderful. Very little work input. But then there's the third method where you just let them sprawl on the ground. And that's actually what tomatoes like the most. And so that's 0 work input other than harvesting. So, yes, Naturally by Darla says, I don't mind the maintenance. I see to them while I'm pruning and tying. Absolutely, yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Not a problem. Claire says, I totally agree with the string method. I am learning how to ID suckers for sure. Yes, the string method can be wonderful. If you get the right kind, especially one that is really good for the string method is the Purple Bumblebee. Cherokee Purple is terrible for the string method. It's much better for the sprawl method, actually. Meyer Lemon says, oh, I want to see those tomato cages. Yes, it's yeah, well, if you watch the recent video I made about the mulching the garden and stuff, then you can see the cages. I don't go over how to make them, but you see the cages, and they're, nice, big, squares in them. I think 4-inch, maybe 6-inch squares in them. You can get your hands through them, and it just works so well. They work so well because those tomato cages are a joke. You know, those are for people that aren't growing Viking. They're not using the Viking techniques. So they've got tiny little, baby tomato plants. And they're like, oh, I got my little tomato cages. And they stick it down there. And, it's like 2.5 feet tall. Oh, a couple little cherry tomatoes. See my tomatoes? Oh, that's nice. Okay. But if you're doing the Viking practices, then you've got thriving soil that's bursting with life. And it will be exploding. It will just dwarf, it will pull those cages down. So it would be like, guys, yeah, I've had them some year where they're like 7 feet tall, just exploding out of the cages. When I do the string method, though, for the purple bumblebees, I've had them 10 feet because they'll go up 7 feet and then fall back down. So, yeah. Jeremy Ransom says, I'm going sprawl method this year. I have hundreds of chocolate cherry tomatoes ripening. Oh, yeah, chocolate cherry. Nice. Never tried that one. Sprawl method works good so long as you got the space and the way to mitigate the weeds. That's what it's all about, is the way to mitigate the weeds. So the sprawl method is best on landscaping fabric or straw. You can, yes, but it's best on landscaping fabric or plastic because there's no chance of anything coming up. So they can just sprawl. Yeah. But don't do it, 2 feet apart and stuff. No, they need lots of room. They need room. Let's see. Teats Treat says, what's your email? gardenlikeaviking@gmail. Big Will Dog says, Nate, my garden pictures are all string trellis. That's right. That's right. Because you're growing high intensity. So you're not using high space. You're using high intensity. And so for that, there's nothing better than the string trellis of things. Definitely. Because in that small space, you could not get that many tomatoes, not even close. If you're doing the cage method, you can only get like 1 tomato in that area if you're doing the sprawl method, Blue Wolf, what's up, my friend? Says, good day, Nate and Tribe. Harvesting Schwarzenberries as I listen. Schwarzenberries, yes. How are those? I really wanted to grow them this year, and I had some seeds, and I think I even started some, but didn't end up finding a place to plant them because of all the reviews as far as that they're not really, that they're not sweet until you like cook them down and stuff like that. I don't know. What's your experience with them? Should I plant them next year? Pop Perm, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, sending infinite love. Can't think of anything to ask. Good enough. Thank you for the contribution on this channel and the other one. Sounds like you had a nice time in the garden the other night. Yes? Alberto, $5. Thank you, my friend. Thrive, like, and subscribe. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for the contribution, guys. Let's see, what's everyone up to? What's up, Jeffrey? Good morning. Says, loving the barefoot time outside. Yes, yes. Okay, good. You guys are having good days. Let's see here. So the, work from home dog mom. That reminds me, there was a question that you had that I wanted to address. So it was on the last video that was about mulch, garden mulch. And says, okay, her question was something like, we till the garden each spring, but we want to get away from tilling. So how can we go about doing that? Is it best to have a huge thing of mulch now and then leave it over the winter, or do we have to remove it, till up, and then put mulch down? So the really one of the most ideal ways is to pile up leaves in the shape of the bed that you want, and then just leave them. And you can, if you watch my video about the slash and burn technique, that's a really good method. You put the leaves in the shape of the bed that you want, light the leaves on fire, and then once they all die down and it kills the grass, the weeds, all that stuff, fertilizes the soil, then add more leaves and let that become the mulch. So to answer the question, you do not have, if you're trying to go no-till, then you simply cover the soil and you stop tilling. Yeah. And you can put it in the fall time, put down a thick layer of leaves, and that will compact over the winter time. And then in the spring, you will you will leave that mulch, because that's gonna make a thick mat, and it's gonna mat down the weeds and stuff. Nothing's gonna come up through that. So in the springtime, you can put that aside and plant into the soil, the actual soil underneath the leaf mulch. But remember, you always plant into the actual soil underneath. So I hope that that answered the question. Yes, you absolutely can. You do not have to remove it, till, and then add more. You will. No, you don't need to do that. Okay. So I hope that answered it. Signal Law says, nice save, thrive. Yeah, I know. I knew what he meant. Let's see here. So guys, the Chocula Garden says, I am from Kenya. Happy to find you live. I benefit much from your videos. Nice. All the way from Kenya. Sounds good, my friend. Lady Green Thumb says, anyone doing the single seed challenge this year? What is that? Single seed challenge. So guys, guess what is coming up? The fall garden. Because contrary to popular belief, the fall garden is started now. So if you're in zone 4, 5, 6, 7, give or take, definitely 5 or 6, then the first week of July is when you want to start the fall garden stuff, basically. And the reason for this is because we are going to start the seeds up now and then plant them out about August 1st. So there's several ways, and I'm going to make a video on that this upcoming week. The video will be about that. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second. Okay. Thought there was someone at the door, but I guess it was just the mailman. So anyways, the fall garden, I'm going to make a video on it, but you really want to start the seeds now, okay? And that's going to be very important that you get them going so that when the time is right, you can put them in the ground. Now, the fall garden is best in succession. So, for example, where the onions are now, they will be harvested in another couple of weeks. And so we will pull the onions and pretty much immediately plant, within the next week after we harvest, plant probably cabbages there. We're going to plant the fall run of cabbages. Or leafy greens. We just removed the garlic, like last week. And so that space I planted, now we had 2 beds of garlic. And so one of them I planted Yukon Gold potatoes. I just planted them yesterday. Yukon Gold potatoes. We're still going to get a wonderful run. So you can plant potatoes right now. If they're a fast maturing type like Yukon Golds or the red potatoes, red New Orleans, well, there's many others. I can't think of them at the moment. But any of the fast maturing potatoes you can plant now still. So we planted that in that bed, but then the other garlic bed is still open because I'm going to plant beets and carrots and some turnips. And that is going to be for the fall. That's going to be for the fall. And you have to take things into consideration like the angle of the sun. So these first 2 or 3 beds, actually, by the time fall really comes, the house is shading out those first couple beds. So you have to think of that. And so you can only plant like leafy greens there. You can't plant something that really needs the sun, like potatoes or cabbages and stuff. So we planted those. We're going to plant the beets and the turnips and the carrots in the bed where the garlic was. And that way we can put, if need be, which we probably will this year, put just a cold frame hoop house over the top of them to allow them to extend the season for a bit. Yeah. So I will probably make a video about that as well. All kinds of stuff. It's all in timing. Timing is so important. The timing is so important, guys, because if the timing is off, then you're not going to be getting much. But if the timing is right, you can maximize the growing season. Teats Treats, $2. Thank you, my friend. Says, sent an email about a private consultation. Definitely, we can do that. Yes, guys, we can do that. If you need a private garden consultation via internet, then we can do that. So just let me know. Send me an email and we can make it happen. We'll get it on the books. We'll schedule it. So work from home dog mom, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, thank you, Nate. Yes, I hope that answered the question. So definitely you can do it. The main thing you don't want to do is till in that mulch, okay? So don't be tilling in leaves. This is important, all right? This is important. You don't want to be tilling in those leaves, okay? So the only thing that you would want to till in is like a fresh cover crop. So another method you could do is a green manure crop, which can work really well. So you could plant in certain areas. I don't know how big your garden is or how much space you have, but another good way is to do to plant a cover crop this fall. So you could plant, if you're going to till in, it doesn't matter about termination time. So you could plant winter rye. You know, winter rye, you can plant all the way up until the days don't get above freezing anymore. I mean, you can plant that stuff. It's super hardy. So you could plant a winter rye cover crop. That's going to sprout. Those roots are going to get in the ground. It's going to be helping to build the soil all winter long as far as capturing the carbon and using the sunlight and all of that, the exudates. And then in the springtime, whenever you're ready to till, about a week before you're ready to plant, you just till that cover crop in there. You till it all in good, and that is going to really enrich the soil a lot. So that's also a method. Then you plant right away. And then once those things get established, then you can put mulch on top. But don't plant, then put mulch on top, because the soil will stay cool and all that kind of stuff. So it's a whole techniques, you know, all different kinds of techniques you can use. Yes. So let's see here. Alberto, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. So, okay, got you. Yes, okay. I see the email, James. So thank you. And thank you, Alberto. So let me see here. Stone Creek says, I am not doing spring green veggies anymore. Yeah, I know. Probably because they all bolt. I know. You got to get them in there early, and you got to get them in there. You got to get them in there. You got to get the right kinds. You got to get the right kind in there, because if you don't, then they're going to, if you're trying to grow spinach, forget about it. Just forget about it altogether, because spinach will bolt when the temperature extremes become high. So it can take some heat, so long as it's temperate heat, meaning that the difference between the highs and the lows is not that great. In a place like Indiana, it can be 85 degrees during one day and then 48 the next day. And so that causes the spinach and many of the greens to bolt, that kind of stuff. Because they're accustomed to places like the Pacific Northwest. It's really temperate, where it's just a few degrees difference, or like the mountains of Japan and Korea, the Orient, that kind of stuff, where it's sort of cool, you know, not huge fluctuations. That's important. Let me get some of this tea, guys. We just got a big old wad of fresh lemongrass and some apple mint. Yes. The apple mint is the most vigorous of all the mint varieties, in my opinion and experience. Yes. Let's see here. Megan McGuire, I have learned about molasses to add sugars, but is there anything I can use in my yard to add sugars to the soil? Okay, what are you trying to add sugars to the soil for? What are you trying to add sugars to the soil for? This is important. So we want to understand what we're using. So please answer that, Megan. So why are you trying to add sugars to the soil? What is the effect that you're going for? Stone Creek says growing orange mint this year. Wonderful. Yeah. I started growing it this year as well, but it is yet to really smell like anything. There's no essential oil production on it yet. So we'll see. Donald Hughes says slugs got 20 feet of sweet potatoes in one night. Will they come back or are they done? That was not slugs, my friend. That was deer. That was definitely deer. 20 feet of sweet potatoes is not. That was deer. Definitely. So let us see. So the sweet potatoes, man, you guys know the catastrophe last year with having too rich of soil. So I tried to do it more benign this year and made it so that I added a couple of bales of Pro Mix, which is just peat moss, which was just peat or sunshine, one of the two. And it was just bales of peat moss, all right? And I mixed that about 50-50 with just the garden soil that I have. But man, my soil has just become so rich in this area, in this garden, because of all the practices that even diluted 50%. Now, the sweet potatoes are, and I added no Viking nutrients to them. The sweet potato leaves are that big around again and super thick, strong vines. So we'll see. We'll see. But man, I really tried to make it not rich, but just so many practices that we've been doing over the years that it's just super rich. Yes, Monkey Boy says, probably referring to how plants put exudates and sugars into the ground. Right. So that's what I wanted to know. So if the person is under that illusion that that's how it works, then we want to address that, because putting sugar into the ground, we call them sugars, the exudates, but it's not like molasses in the form. The plant the plant creates such specific types of sugars, chains of sugars, that it can create the exact type of sugar that it knows will attract the exact type of microorganisms, of which there are thousands and thousands of different species. It will make the exact sugar that will attract the exact microorganism that will produce the exact nutrients that that plant needs at that time. It's incredible. So it is so incredibly specific and perfect in the sense of without error. And so we can't just add molasses to the soil, spray it on the ground, and then that's the same as the plants. Now, I'm not saying that you thought that, but I'm just addressing that because there are many people that do think that. And so adding sugar, it's not the same. And so that's why we want to be really careful actually with molasses and sugars. We actually don't want to add sugars really, because the only time that we're adding sugars, the molasses, is when we are making the aerated compost tea or the fish hydrolysate, or for specific reasons when we need to multiply the microorganisms in an otherwise nutrient void solution. So the compost, so in the aerated compost tea, we add it because just adding compost and water, there's not enough food source for the microorganisms to multiply. So we add the sugars and they can multiply, yes. But we're multiplying the composting microorganisms. Remember, there are thousands of different varieties, and we have not even begun to categorize even a fraction of them that are in the soil. I used to know the exact numbers, but there's an estimated like 1 or 2 trillion different types. Don't quote me on that. That sounds absurd. There's a lot of different, thousands, lots of different types, okay, of microorganisms estimated to be out there. But of those hundreds of thousands of different types, we've only documented about 10,000 different varieties of microorganisms. And of that 10 to 15,000 different varieties we've documented, we've only characterized a tiny fraction of those. So we really don't understand anything about the relationships between the microorganisms, what they do with each other. VA Green says it probably is trillions. I seem to think that it is 1 or 2 trillion different species of microorganisms on Earth, estimated to be. But of that, we've only even discovered just a tiny little 10, 15,000 different varieties. And of those varieties, to actually learn their characteristics and their interactions and what they do, it's even a tiny fraction of that. We're virtually blind. We virtually know nothing. What we know is the general thing, how to cultivate the soil so that the plants can thrive. The plants can tell us what is happening. So we can understand generalities. We can understand the effect of things, but to try to get lost into the microbiology of it is a fractal. It's never ending. It'll just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Yes. So the yes. So the Chancy Warrior says, I use molasses with EM1 to make the microorganism brew. Yes, EM1 is okay. What is it? $45 a gallon, something like that, and not localized. So I used to spend a lot of money on the EM when I was growing in Northern California until I understood that that's not the best way to do it. A good aerated compost tea or a good JDOM microbial solution is far more effective because you're utilizing local biology. So when we're growing outdoors, making your own aerated compost tea is much more effective than EM1. And it's infinitely cheaper, virtually free. Captain Jerry says, hey, Nate, thanks for the advice telling me to put my peach trees in the ground last fall. They are doing great. Nice. That's what we like to see, my friend. That's what we like to see. Yeah, they don't like being in pots if we can help it. Big Will Dog says, Nate, is your Amish beef supplier close enough to me to pick up some manure from? No, because they're north of me even. So, no, it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. Let's see here. Someone asked about, okay, Meyer Lemons, Nate, should we add molasses to compost tea? Somebody hasn't watched my compost tea videos, have they? I think you should watch the video first, and then you should ask that question later, because I give exact ratios and reasons to why, and the really good way to dissolve it. Yeah, because I used to add the molasses straight into the compost tea as it was bubbling, and then I would find huge residues of the molasses undisturbed at the bottom of the barrel. It wouldn't mix in properly. So you want to, for 55 gallons of compost tea, we use 2 cups of molasses, and yeah, aerated compost tea. So we had 2 cups of the molasses, and then some hot water, some boiling water. Mix it real good till it's super viscous. Yeah, then pour it out. Pour it into there then, and then it's wonderful. Jeffrey says 55-gallon compost tea vid coming soon. It was already out. So yes, very soon, as in right this moment, as in about a month ago, I put that out. So yes, please check that out. That video didn't do all that well. I think maybe because I show you how to actually make the compost tea brewing wand. Maybe not many people are into that. That's a little in-depth for a lot of people. The average Joe gardener is not, they just want to know, how to do easy, simple stuff. The aerated compost teas start to get a little more advanced. Definitely a more advanced. Yes. Chancy Warrior says, thanks, Nate, for the advice. I will try aerated compost tea next. Oh, man, definitely. And especially it's because we're coming into full growing season right now. And guys, it is well, I can't take it, but I wanted to show you out the window. It is in full swing, man. These squash plants are like 7 feet across already. I mean, I'm talking patty pan squash. We're eating on them every meal. We have to have patty pan squash right now. But everything is really starting to pop. And we are, in order to be like virtually pesticide and and stuff free, you have to really even the JDOM stuff I'm talking, not even the herbal solutions, not even the JWA, not even the JDOM sulfur, to not use any of that. Even you need to really be on it with the aerated teas. So you need to do at least once a week, and then preferably twice a week. And the second one is a foliar only. So that's what I'm going to show you guys here in the next couple weeks, is a really powerful growth producing aerated tea recipe. But it gets a little more advanced as far as it's a little more cost input, it's a little more work and stuff. But for those of us that it's our passion, and we just want to produce the finest quality result that's possible, then no amount of stuff is too much. No steps is too great if it's going to produce a better result. So if you're trying to get the finest produce that can be had, then that's how you do it, you know. So because we're going to make a explosive growth tea, and we're going to use things like high nitro bat guano. We're going to use alfalfa meal in this one, okay? And those will work synergistically among with a couple of other things. But that's really going to help to, you will see explosive growth from that stuff. As opposed to, we will have a flowering aerated tea coming in another month and a half probably. One that is very low in the nitrogen, but high in the phosphorus. And potassium, actually. Paul Banham says, hello, Nate and Tribe. First time live for a while. Have been doing compost tea for a couple of weeks, and you can see it's working. Yes, you can. Definitely. Definitely, my friend. Ooh, Meyer Lemons. Into the Vitamix goes the molasses and boiling water. Yes, that's a great idea. And the molasses or the Vitamix will do it up real easy. So yes, mix it all together and then boom, put it in like that. Definitely. Yes, VA Green, yes. A tailor-made compost tea every week. Essentially, yes. Once you understand the different properties, once you understand what the ingredients do, and you've worked with them enough so that you can understand the effect and the results, then yes, you can play with it like that. And you can read the garden and you can say, okay, well, I really would like to see some more explosive growth, actual vegetative growth. So you will know then that applying alfalfa meal is going to be making a tea with the alfalfa meal is going to have the growth stimulating enzymes and hormones and growth factors in it that you need. And so you will utilize that with some kelp and yada, yada, yada. So many different things. Paul Banham says, question, the flowers on potatoes, do you leave them or take them off? Leave them. Leave them. It doesn't matter. Once the flowers start showing up, that's when they just begin their tuber production. And that's one way that you can tell, guys, there's so many fake videos on YouTube about gardening. I got fed up. I almost posted it in the comments again. I saw another one just released a few weeks ago. 5 million views. 5 million views. This channel's got 2 million subscribers. And they're putting out, and it's some villagers in Indonesia and stuff, which I get the incentive, to make fake videos. But they make these videos where they're harvesting these potatoes, and so stupid. It's so obviously just blatantly a lie, and they're just huge rolling out. I mean, there's several of these videos, but this one last week or a couple weeks ago took the cake. I mean, it was so blatantly, obviously a joke. And they just got these tiny little potato plants tied up with twigs. And clearly, if you have experience, you can see that it's all a lie. It's all fake. And the big, huge potatoes just rolling out of this video with no roots attached to them, all the exact same size. It's just such a joke. So anyways, but that's good. So that guy made 10 grand off that video. It's got 5 million views in a month. It was like 1 month old and it had 5 million views. So they made like 10 grand off that video. So, yeah. John A says, I tell you, Viking, even if you cover topics totally 100% irrelevant to my gardening situation, I watch you for your knowledge, style, and respect for nature. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for the enthusiasm, my friend. And are they irrelevant to your type of gardening? Because I think they'd be relevant to everything. But regardless, I'm glad that you're here. So let's see here. Teresa says, Nate, you should send a video about planting potatoes in a straw pile where you just peel it back and roll them out like you're talking about, but only it is real, not their fake. Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully at the end of the season, that's what the Ruth Stout video is going to be like. Because that is really what it's like. A good Ruth Stout run of potatoes is like that, almost. You pull it back and there's all kinds of potatoes. But they've got roots attached to them and they're all different kinds of sizes. And there's the plant materials there, you can just tell. They don't just roll out with no roots attached to them, all the same exact size with skins that are already cured. So, and off of plants that are just like this big and tiny and propped up with little sticks and just starting to form the flowers on the plants. Yeah, because we know that when the flowers start forming is when the plant just begins its tuber production. So, Spreading Ideas says, I made fish amino acids, but not all parts of fish decompose after many months. Should I put sugar again? How many months? And so no, there's no need for that. How many months? And you should just strain off what you need to use and then allow the rest to keep decomposing. It will be a long time before the bones and scales and everything can decompose. So, depending on how much is left, I would strain it out and maybe, if there's just a little bit left, you could add some labs and some molasses, to change it up, to digest it a little bit more. Yeah. But no, don't throw the ratio off and try to make more FAA. You'll make something different, Let's see. No, let's see here. Okay, so Teresa says, I can send you clips to your email. We'll go out in my garden in a couple minutes and peel back to the straw and roll the potatoes out like you talk about. I eat them daily. It is my daily bread at this time. Nice. Guys, don't forget, you can also join the Discord chat, which is free. It's like a chat room for the Viking Tribe where you can post pictures and stuff. Tons of good information in there from you guys. Pictures, examples, if you want to ask questions. I'm in there when I can be, of course, but there's a lot of other people in there that have got good experience as well. So, definitely. So I see that VA Green said yes, talking about adding the molasses to the soil. So yes, you definitely can, like once, but I have found it can really acidify the soil if you make it a regular practice. So there really is no need to be adding sugars or molasses to the soil itself when it's not in combination with the aerated compost tea. So if you want to increase all of that kind of stuff, make the aerated compost tea and apply it that way. Definitely. You'll have such a better result. Guys, some things. Now, I am in the process of making the hot compost video for you guys. So it's going to take probably a month, before that will really happen. But one thing that I want to recommend, man, hold on. Oh, okay, VA Green, sorry. See, I'm all, okay. He said, she asked about the kelp. I definitely would not pour molasses on the soil. Okay, good. That's what I like to hear. Yeah, definitely kelp would help. Definitely, but kelp is so expensive. If you're talking about kelp meal, kelp is very expensive. as far as that goes. And so it's best to use the kelp to inoculate your brews with the micronutrients, the minerals, the growth factors, all the good stuff. Unless you have kelp available, like meaning you're by the ocean, then you can get it. And yes, definitely, you can add it to the soil. It's wonderful. But kelp meal is just so expensive. A better replacement, much cheaper, is alfalfa meal, because it's cheaper. If they were the same price, we'd use kelp. But alfalfa meal is so much cheaper. And you tend to get more explosive growth, nitrogen type growth out of alfalfa meal. So yeah, I'm making that hot compost video for you guys, and this thing is pretty awesome. So this compost thermometer, it's not expensive, and it's just the right size. And so I've been using this to make the video, and it works great. We've been getting up to about 140, and it's got a little indicator for you guys and stuff. And I just saved the box because it's got a way to like put it back in there with it. This is in the Amazon, or it's going to be in the Amazon storefront once I make sure that I really like it a lot, which I pretty am sure. So then I'll put it in the Amazon storefront. But highly recommend. It was like $25. But if you guys are talking about making hot compost, you have to have one of these. Essentially, I mean, you don't have to, but you really want to know what's going on, because I've made hot compost in the past without one, and I've let it get too hot to where the whole pile just collapses and the stuff turns to like ash. It just all turns. It gets too hot, and it nukes even the beneficial bacteria. So you don't want it to get too hot, and so it's really good for Right. Big West says 140 degrees max, 150 is getting into actinomycetes territory. Yes, so we don't want it to get too hot. 140, 145, I turned it at 145. And so I highly recommend this, because you also want to know if the pile's gone cold. That's very important, which actually that's more of a problem for most people I have found, is that their piles go cold. They don't heat up enough. They think, why isn't it decomposing? Well, stick this thing in there and see what the temperature is. And if it's not like at least, 120, something like that, then it's really not doing much. 110 at least, it's not doing much. Then you need to reconfigure the pile and add a higher nitrogen source. Yeah, because remember, in a hot compost pile, the engine of decomposition, and I've said this so many times, but it's repetition, and you'll say this when you're out, and you'll say this in your mind. Remember, the engine of decomposition is bacteria, and the gasoline for that engine is nitrogen. So the more nitrogen there is, the faster the engine of decomposition is happening. That's why fresh grass clippings can decompose in almost it's so fast. You can decompose fresh grass clippings, as opposed to dried grass clippings that have been spread out and most of the nitrogen has evaporated. You put those into a pile and that will just sit there indefinitely. That's basically what hay is, hay and straw, and it will just sit there for a long time because it's just pure carbon. So I recommend one of these to you guys. Definitely. So, AK Froggy says, that author is our local gardening guru. I emailed him with a question the other day, and he answered within an hour. Good guy. Man, that guy is on it. If he can do that, he's either on it or he's got a team. So, Muddy Paws says, used microbial solution and labs on 3 sisters. Super difference. Darker green, and glass corn is a foot taller than the washed in random invader corn that crashed the party. Uh-oh. Remember, corn will cross-pollinate in the same season. In the same season, it will cross-pollinate. So you want to be real careful. Because you'll go to peel back those... Oh, Jeff Lowenfold. What? Really? I didn't know he lived in Alaska. Yes, he's a good. That's a good. He's writing some good books. He's a scientist. He's a good scientist. Now there was some question here. Yeah, well, Muddy Paws, just remember that the corn, will cross pollinate in the same season. So if you have glass gem corn and you have like a random field corn or a random sweet corn wash in, you'll peel back those ears and it'll be all messed up. It'll be all messed up. Naturally by Darla says, "Oh, been adding molasses when watering about once every 2 weeks. Going to stop that. How often for the calcium made from eggshells? I made it from your video." Okay, guys, the best way to answer all those, the best thing to do is to make a weekly aerated compost tea. That really, I want to get you guys on that train, because once you do that, then you eliminate so many problems, so many issues. So if you do that, then you're adding the molasses already. And if you do that, then you, at the end of brewing, that's when you can add the calcium solution. So watch the videos that I've made about aerated compost teas, and you will see there's some things that we add after brewing, like the labs and the acetic acid, the calcium solution, several others, but that's when you will add that. So once a week is good. Every other week is also sufficient. But if you want, you can do it in such a way where you don't have to use any other thing, not even JDOM, pesticides, none of that stuff. The peppermint sprays and all that stuff, you don't have to use that if you're consistently, meaning every week at the most, using the aerated compost teas. Yeah. Terry Goody says, "Hey Nate, there were a couple super chats you missed. Is that right?" Let's see here. Sorry about that. I try to see everything I can. Oh yes. Oh well, Terry Goody, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, "Hey Nate, when do we start the carrots for fall, such as Kyoto Red?" Ooh yeah, good question. Kyoto Red, and then I will get to Dov's $5 contribution. So Terry, the carrots. Kyoto Red likes it cool. It could take coolness way more than it can take hot. That's for sure. So the stuff that we start, so for the fall garden, the stuff that we start, and I will put this in the video coming out this coming week, the stuff that we start on July, the first week of July, give or take, in zones 4, 5, 6, 7, is the things that we will transplant, such as cabbages, komatsuna, all kinds of leafy greens. I got tatsoi, shijimisa. I love the leafy greens for the stir fries and the chanko nabe, the Japanese hot pot soup that I make in the fall time. So we have all that stuff that we start up. But the things that we direct seed, such as carrots and the final run of beets, almost final run of beets, turnips and peas, that all is about August 1st. That's when we do that, because that gives us a solid 2 months before the frosts really start to come, 2.5 months even. So that's when we do that. Yep. Another thing we're starting today is Brussels sprouts. We got to start them today, because they take 100 days. Yeah. We're going to do a lot of Brussels sprouts this year because we're really into it. So we're going to do, this will be the year of a lot of Brussels sprouts for sure. But yeah, so carrots will go in the ground the same time that you transplant out the other fall stuff. So that will be August 1st, give or take. Yeah. Sam Potzik says, "Patty pans just started popping up." Yes. So the thing with patty pans, guys, once they get big enough and they get them solar panels established and they get like 4 feet tall and 7 feet across already, like mine are, then they're going to start pumping out those patty pans to an unbelievable degree because they've got their solar panels set up and ready. And so, Jeffrey, yeah, only if your gut microbiome is out of whack. If you've got a really thriving, strong, healthy gut microbiome, then they do not create anything like that, actually. But anyways, once the patty pans get really big, then they will use all that solar energy and their root system has spread out. Remember, of the patty pans and stuff, their root system spreads out to be about as big as the spread of the plant itself. So that the leaves are designed to catch rainwater and funnel it right down into the roots right there. So they spread way out. And once it's go time, then they just start pumping them out. So a patty pan can go from being this big in the morning to being that big in the evening of the same day. So you want to keep them picked. The more that you pick them, the more that they will produce. Because they say, oh no, we're under attack. And our life's mission is to create more of ourselves. And so we need to produce more. Meyer Lemon says, Nate, can I put the sod I ripped out for a bed in the hot compost pile? Absolutely, yes. Now, it might. Okay, VA Green says, absolutely, I used to do it all the time when I was a landscaper. So I can't speak to that. I've never done that. I've never hot composted fresh sod. I mean, I imagine it would work, but I would find a different use for it, actually, as like a building material of some kind. Create like a berm if you need to or something. But I just feel like because the hot compost pile, you got to turn. And so that would be heavy because I'm out there turning, hot compost. Basically, you make the pile, let it sit for 5 days. And then after that, you're turning it almost every other day, or every fourth day at the most, depending on the temperatures. So you're not going to want to be moving heavy bricks of sod every time that you're just not. Okay. So Dob, $5. Thank you, my friend. Says, hey, Nate, would a French press work for making fresh herbal teas? I don't have much disposable income at the moment. Absolutely, my friend. Check it out. This is, whatever. If you've got a French press, definitely. This was a gift to me by the family in Tennessee. Thank you guys again for everything. And I love it. I absolutely love it because I've busted at least a dozen of those glass ones in my life. And this one is amazing because it's insulated as well. So I can go off and do things because I often will make the tea or coffee, go off and do things, come back to it 30 minutes or an hour later, and it's still piping hot. So that's awesome. And yes, I put for example, today I went out and got lemongrass and apple mint, stuffed it in there, poured boiling water, put the top on, and came and talked to you guys. Just like that. Yeah. All right. So, Dobbs says, got to put this lemon balm to use. Oh man, lemon balm makes a fine tea. Very fine tea. Mom Computer, that's right, says lay the sod upside down no matter where you use it. That'll make sure it won't continue to grow. Right. So there's a couple ways that I've used sod in the past. Either you can flip it upside down like that and to make sure that it kills the grass off, or you can use it as like a living brick of certain types. If you need to make like a berm, you can actually stack it grass side up. You can actually stack it, a couple deep and one on top, and it will grow and it will hold itself together. So that's another way you can use it if you need to build a structure of some kind. Yeah, it's the weight. So for hot composting, forget about it. You're not going to be sitting there with a pitchfork. That's going to make your life miserable. You're just going to forget it, and it's going to just sit there and rot, and it's not going to be good. So, okay, Aaron Munoz says, how can I eliminate aphids on my apple trees? Well, anybody have tips specifically to eliminate aphids on apple trees? What has worked for you? Now, I would say an aphid is the soft-bodied creature, and how I take care of aphids when they do come, if they're a problem, which they're not always a problem, even if they are on the plants, is the ultimate slug solution. That is the one. In particular, the one that I made this year. So the one with the sodium hydroxide, the wetting agent, and the fish fertilizer. Yeah. Which you don't have to use the fish fertilizer, but it's the sodium hydroxide, the lye, that will dissolve any soft-bodied creature. It really will. And so aphids, you spray it on, and it dissolves the aphids. It totally does. Grant, yes. Need a fogger for the apple trees. Yes, I've got one of those that is just fantastic. It gets everywhere, all around. It's wonderful. Okay, Val. Yes, I saw that comment. So this is common. So Val says, hey, Nate, got straw from a local feed store, put it over the soil. Now I have a ton of grass popping up. What can I do to get rid of the grass seed in the bale of straw? So the main thing, unfortunately, is prevention. You have to look because sometimes if the farmer will set their combine a little bit too high and it will miss all kinds of the wheat seeds. And so it'll pack in there and you'll get all kinds of wheat grass. That's what it is. It's not grass, it's wheat. And so you will get that sprouting up. That is one of the drawbacks. But if you go to a place that sells, like Menards, for example, sells bales of straw, and they are selling it by the bale at top dollar, and they have to transport it. And so they and I checked, and these bales are pure straw. I didn't see a single head in any of it. So that's what you want. I didn't see any heads in that whole thing. And I've been shaking it apart, and it's it's nice. It's super nice. It's expensive, but and because they're selling it by the bale, they set their baler so that it just barely packs it together. So here's a bale, with half the amount of straw that one of these, like my uncle, who's an industrial ag farmer. I used to bale hay and straw with him when I was young, he would set it to go twice as compact. Yeah. So you would get twice the amount in each bale. But when they're selling it at Menards by the bale, they're going to just barely pack it together like that. But it's clean. It's super clean. There's no seed heads in there. So I'm willing to pay for that because it's so clean. So then I'll finish answering that question. Well, I'll finish that right now. So but fortunately, the thing about using straw as opposed to hay is that the straw is just wheat grass, and so it will come up no problem. No, the slug solution will not kill ladybugs. It will not at all. Not anything with an exoskeleton, not any hard-bodied creature. So the wheat that comes up from the straw is super easy to pull. It's super easy. It's not real grass. It's in the grass family, but it's not like the grass it's not like crabgrass. If you've ever planted or if you've ever mulched with hay, then you know what I'm talking about. Hay will produce weeds that are a nightmare to get out. All different kinds of plants. So that's a real nightmare. But straw is super easy to pull out, especially if the straw is thick. Then you can just pull it right out. Claire says, so is straw safe to use? I know you've said hay is the problem with the pesticides. Straw is dead, so safer to use? Straw is much safer because they typically don't spray it in the same way. They do spray it with all kinds of stuff, and glyphosate, yes, they spray it with glyphosate. They spray it with all kinds of stuff, guys. Remember, we've been talking about in the past several weeks about the different things that they are spraying on the crops. But I'm not really concerned. I've never had a problem from hay. I've never had the problem from hay. From straw. So hay can be a problem. Hay you just would never put on the garden. You just don't want to put it on the garden because you will be planting thousands of different weeds, literally. Unless you have a hay field where you can then just keep adding more hay, no problem. But the the issue comes when it accumulates in like when a horse or a cow eats it, and then it accumulates in their manure, and then it's a big problem when you're using that manure right at the ground level. But the straw, I've never had any issue. The slight residue that would be on it is not going to be a problem because it's not like the horse digestive system will concentrate it all, you know? And so that's, think about if any of you guys have ever used a juicer, you know, juicing. Like yesterday, we just made a wonderful beet and parsley and celery and green apple juice. It was delicious with some mint. And you have all this veg material, this whole a bushel of veg material, and I juiced it all, and what came out was like this much fibers. That was all the waste. All the juice was like, we had a half gallon of juice, and there was just like that many fibers, okay? So think about how concentrated then, if those pesticides are systemic, which they are, meaning they go into the plant and they become part of the plant's circulatory system. And so think about how much more concentrated now that is, because it's into plant tissue. And so that's basically what the horse and the cow does. When they're eating it, it concentrates into that thing, into their manure. So that's why it's such a huge issue. At the concentration that you're going to get it in straw, it's not a concern. And glyphosate, actually, it's very toxic and poisonous and deadly and cancerous to human beings, yes. But it does have a very short half-life. So it won't just keep, it's not like the 2,4-D and other persistent herbicides. It will just, after a few days, it just stops, stops being effective. Claire says, Nate, nice, Nate, thank you. I understand now that straw is not the same glyphosate load as horse manure, for example. Exactly, yes. And it's not actually the glyphosate, remember that, it's not actually the glyphosate that is the biggest problem. It's the persistent herbicides, the broadleaf, the 2,4-D, and it goes by many, many names and many different compounds. There's so many different compounds now. But those are really the ones that we want to look out for, because the glyphosate actually denatures pretty fast. Yeah. Claude says, we use straw as mulch and it is a nightmare. I have to weed out every day. What are you weeding out, and how thick? It sounds like you haven't put it thick enough, because are you talking you have to weed out the wheatgrass? Yeah, I believe it. So let's see. Muddy Paw says, graze on hay destroyed my composting planting system. Homestead overhaul on the horizon. Absolutely. Graze on is one of those persistent things that we're talking about. So and they wouldn't use it as much in, graze on is nasty and gnarly and very persistent. And so they will not use it as much in straw though, because they spray it onto the crops, and then the whole reason that they have graze on is so you can spray it on your hay fields and then immediately let your animals graze on it. So it's safe for them to graze on. And so that's sort of the name. It's sadistic actually, but it's sort of the name. And so they don't do the same thing with the straw. So they're not going to waste their time and money and thousands of dollars and their tractors and their energy and all that stuff when nothing's going to graze on the straw, So they use different things. Alex Kunin, glyphosate stops being effective after a couple days? Pretty much, actually, yeah. I mean, its half-life, as far as it is, its effective life is over quickly. Yeah, within a week. I mean, you can spray Roundup and then plant stuff into the soil a week later. I know it's crazy, but never, right. Big West says, don't use glyphosate, please. Right, of course. because there's many other toxic side effects. It stays in the soil, it accumulates into the plant. It's a gnarly chemical that does all sorts of things that we don't want any part of. And so, yes, you can plant but you don't want to. Okay. Megan McGuire, I've heard wood chips are the most nutrient dense, rich mulch when it breaks down. Do you find this to be true? No, I wouldn't say most nutrient rich mulch. I would say deciduous leaves are the most nutrient rich, or grass clippings. But deciduous leaves, yes. The wood chips, guys, if you have like 10 years to wait, then wood chips can be wonderful, but like, or if you have a wood chipper, and a bunch of, like when I lived on the mountain, we had an old wood chipper. The guy had bought one of the old dangerous diesel powered ones that you just put the tree into, blah, and it just rips the limb right out of your hand, just blah, and spits it out the other side. And we're talking branches like this, 15, 20 feet long. You just put the tip in there and it rips it out of your hand, blah, and it just kicks the chips all over the place. I mean, that thing would pull you right in through it and chip you up. You'd be over. So you just turn into a red dust cloud. Very dangerous. And it was like from the 70s. So there was none of those levers that they have now or any of that kind of safety mechanisms. But anyways, if you have one of those, yes, then, and a bunch of trees that you have to trim all the time and stuff, then it can be okay because you're using the leaves and all that other stuff. But they take so long to break down, and they just, I have found that things just don't thrive. I mean, I've done the Back to Eden in several different plots with just wood chips, and I just find that things are not thriving there. Finally, 4 years later, things are starting to break down. But still, I haven't added them in 4 years, and there's still tons of wood chip, thick layer of wood chips, So I'm not really into the wood chips that much. But when we get the land, when we get to school, we will have a Back to Eden only garden because we will get a wood chipper or something. And we will have that experiment. We'll have it fenced off. We'll have several different types of gardens. And then we'll know all the pros and cons of every one. And we'll be able to show people and teach people the pros and cons of each method. And we're right there with clear-cut examples. And all the methods are going to thrive, of course. They're all going to thrive. But there will be pros and cons to them all. Yes. Yeah. So Claire says, I'm scared just listening about the chipper. Oh man, that thing is straight out of a horror movie. It's huge and that sort of, caterpillar yellow, that yellow, but it's all chipped up and it's diesel. So hold on, let me fire it up and then the flywheel starts spinning and it's so, and you're just, oh my God. And the whole thing's shaking like that. And then you get up close to it. And you put the branch in. It is crazy. It's giving me, that was like one of the scariest things I'd ever done with that thing. And we're all like slipping and sliding on the mountain and stuff and the hill. And just, so anyways, let's see here. Did I miss I'm trying to look. I can't find. Did I miss maybe not. Let's see here. Looking for that contribution. I'm going to scroll way down. Sorry. Alex Forgay, $10. Thank you, my friend. Says, good morning, Nate. So when I planted my squash, I put 2 seeds in each spot. Should I keep the best one in each spot or try to prune accordingly? Thanks again. Okay, so how that depends on several factors. How big are your hills where you're planting them? Are they hills? How far apart are the plants? How many plants, so if you have like every 10 feet, you have a hill that is like 4 feet around, then keep both of them. But if you've got if you just planted like every 8 feet, 2 seeds, then probably thin to the one. Yeah. Then probably thin to the one. Post pictures to the Discord chat and I'll be able to tell for sure. But make sure that you mention me in it so that I can know. I won't ever be able to see anything on the Discord unless you mention me in it. Or on Instagram as well and tag me in it. But yes. So the what was the question? Yeah, so that depends on several things. And how many plants do you have? So even if you are going to thin to the strongest one, I wait a little while. I wait until the last moment to thin things because just in case some vine borers show up, or just in case something happens, the cat destroys one of them, just in case something happens, then you'll have another one. Yeah. Let's see. Pam says, I love your interpretation of the dangerous wood chipper. Oh, man. Yeah. Myerland, is that your friend in the chipper? Claire says, Nate, you should have done sound effects for The Simpsons. Oh, yes. Yes. Guys, I want to show you a couple of things, okay? So, now, these make your life so much easier, and I just got them off of Amazon, and I really like them. So I get all kinds of different stuff, so I can try them out for you guys, and so that I know what to promote. But I've used a lot of different ones over the years, but I really like these. They come in like an 8-pack, and it was like $25. They're the brass ones. They're the quick disconnects. Guys, you want to set your stuff up so that it's super easy to use. So your aerated compost tea set up, and so put one of these on each one of your spray nozzles so that you can just quickly switch in and out. Pull the hose off of here, put it onto the pump, have one of these onto the pump. You know what I'm saying? So look, and this is if you want to dial your stuff in. I mean, if you want to get dialed in, you're just on a different level, okay? It just makes things easier to stick with. So look, see, we got 2 of these here. Now here's what we do. We put this onto the pump, the submersible pump, so that we got some flex. And then we're going to put this onto the top of that, so that this is attached to the submersible pump, so that we can then just, boom, use that hose and then, boom, stick it back onto the garden nozzle and use that for the gardening. But then when it's time to do our aerated tea, we just, boom, undo from the garden hose and bam, stick it right back onto the pump. You see how easy it is? And that will make you much more likely to stick to it, as opposed to, I got to get out all the equipment and then I got to move the hose from here to just forget it. And you'll just forget it. So you need to set it up like this. And these are really nice because they'll have some give, but get the 8-pack of these and put them on all your stuff, all your nozzles. Get 2 8-packs if you need, but because they're going to last. They're going to last. And this will simplify your life, these quick disconnects. Boom, boom. Yeah, get this whole box. So I think I put them in the Amazon storefront if you want them. Again, I'm not sponsored by anyone. I'm just showing you guys what works. Yes. John says, what can I do to have you give me a consultation or pay for your time over Zoom or something if possible? Thanks, Nate. I have Compost Tea Brewing. Tilled in organic matter was clay early spring. So I currently have time for virtual consultations. So you can email me. It's about an hour and a half, $100. That's the rate. So in that time, we'll take however long it takes. We'll take an hour or an hour and a half, and we will get a plan for you to execute. So whatever it is, some people need to know timing for certain things. Some people want to know crop rotation. Some people want to show garden layout. Some people, all different kinds of things. So whatever you want, we can do that. Just email me, gardenlikeaviking@gmail.com, and we'll get it on the books. Okay. But when we make the appointment, we stick to it. Okay. So we're not like, so we got to get it on the books. Now here's another thing. These things are wonderful and they're so easy to turn on and off. So when we are doing the aerated teas, when we're applying it and we have to stop for a moment, it's super easy. This huge lever makes it nice and simple. Now, when I was in California, high stakes gardening, my whole life was watering basically and fertilizing and stuff and brewing fertilizers. I mean, day and night. So I know the equipment, and these heavy duty brass ones are what you want. They stop. They're so easy. You're not sitting there trying to on this tiny little plastic thing that won't shut all the way. This thing is easy to find, so you can just turn it on, and when it's time to shut it off, boom, it just kicks off. And obviously, this is lasting many years. I mean, it's like a pound of brass, so it is. It's worth the investment, guys. Now, these kind of things are investment. Are they absolutely necessary? No, not at all. You can just, do whatever you want. Let the rain, or just have a bucket. You can do that, yes. But you will come to a point when you like to just have things set up to where it's easy and simple so that you can stick to it. You can streamline your experience. And that's what all of this stuff does. Yeah? That's what all this stuff does. So that's enough of that. Yeah, Tom Vardaka says, you need to make a video on all these parts. Yes, I will actually at some point. On the pump setup and everything. It's wonderful, yeah. And I'm very much feeling the idea that this coming fall, I will be totally redoing the garden. I'm going to take up all the stuff that's there, the wood, the logs, and all that stuff, till the crap out of the whole place with the Troy built rototiller, the horse that we have, and to try to get rid of these garden symphylins and other things, and then recreate the whole garden into beds, raised beds with irrigation, drip irrigation. And I will make videos about that whole experience. So the let's see here, Gary. Thank you, my friend, for the consistent contribution. $30 via PayPal. Says thanks for sharing your knowledge and the laughs. Amazing how shower can fill my 275-gallon totes, and I use drip tape. Oh yeah. My best tomato plant is almost shoulder high and tons of blooms. Nice. Sounds wonderful. Yeah. So you have two of the IBC totes, and yeah, it's amazing how much rain can fill your stuff. It's amazing how much rain, the volume of gallons. Like once you start capturing rainwater, it's astonishing how much volume there actually is in a good healthy rain. Yeah, way more than you would think. Claire says, so I can replace the cheap plastic valves on my rain barrel for those nice metal ones? Absolutely you can. Yes, that's what I'd like to do. So another thing, guys, is now is going to become the time for the peppers. All right. So as your peppers come in, you want to let them ripen all the way. If it's going to be for your spices. So here we have the last of the Hungarian paprikas from last year. And they still have that fresh smoke, flavor, and taste. Oh my goodness, they're still wonderful. Because we keep them whole. So watch my video on smoked paprika and let them ripen all the way, and then smoke them and then dehydrate them. And you are going to have that flavor in everything that you cook. So we keep them whole though. That's very important. Keep them whole until about the time that you want to use them. It will maintain that flavor 1,000-fold. Because if you just grind up all your spices and then leave them in the jar for months and months, they will lose their flavor. They will oxidize. So if you keep them whole like this, like the cayennes and stuff, and then only grind up what you're going to use in the next few weeks, full flavor, and they store better. Yes. So, Muddy Paw says, we're experimenting with teas and labs in our 50-gallon tractor sprayer on part of our front field. Color is healthier, but grasshoppers eat the field. Chickens eat grasshoppers, hawks eat the chickens. That sounds about right. Terry Goody, is that the Ivarsky for the paprika? Yes, this one is in particular. Yes. Now, the Ivarsky is a really good pepper. Now, is it the best? It's very thick skinned, so it will make a good paprika. Yes. Now, I'm trying the. One of you guys sent me the Luchwander, which is like a classic Hungarian paprika. So I'm trying that this year to see what the difference sort of is, because I've tried many different ones over the years, and the classic Hungarian wax pepper is really good, But they're much thinner skin than the Ivarsky. So the Ivarsky, just give it a try, of course. The Ivarsky is really good for fresh eating because it's super sweet. You can grill it and then just char the skin off. Oh, it's super good. Yeah. Pepper Gardener says, great tip, thanks. I ground all my peppers this year. They're good, but I'll save some whole peppers too this year. Definitely, you will be astonished at the difference in the flavor because the flavor will tail off over the weeks and months. But if you have them like this and then you grind them, whoa, it's going to be so powerful. It's wonderful. Yes, Jeremy Ranson says, I allow jalapenos to turn red to make into chipotle powder. Yes. Chipotle is smoked red jalapenos. Is that right? I used to know that. Jerry Jr. says, my peppers are still less than 5 inches tall. They aren't growing. My okra isn't doing well either. Last night, a deer ate my small tomato plants and my cucumbers again. I'm not going to get cucumbers. Oh, that's too bad. But you will... Cucumbers, you still have plenty of time, actually. So you can plant cucumbers all the way up until like August 1st. So still, have some backup. Have some backup started. And just don't take no for an answer, my friend. So you just have to get clever with them. So deer and stuff like that, it's not an insurmountable enemy. You can overcome if the spirit is there to overcome them. Okay? Do you get what I'm saying? Jay Bramer, hope you like the paprika seeds I sent. Ooh, was that you? Good. Thank you very much. I planted every one of those. And we got them, several of them growing here and several of them at the Viking North plot. So we're going to see. We're going to see. I got high hopes for those. Yeah? Got high hopes for that. Grant says my pepper plants are tiny as well. Yeah, I actually have some that are pretty small at the moment as well. Healthy, they're going to pop, but they just haven't. The ones I planted, I did a bit of an experiment this year. I planted the same varieties of peppers in two very different locations with different nutrients. So I planted some of them up against a north-south privacy fence and in landscaping fabric. All right. And so the north-south fence makes it so they only get half the day of sunlight. And the landscaping fabric makes it so that the soil is hot. I mean, it warms that soil up way faster. As opposed to the ones I planted in the full blasting sun, but they have a thick layer of mulch over them, all right, and no landscaping fabric. So the ones I planted up against the fence are twice the size of the ones I planted in the open with the straw mulch. And I have to attribute it to some afternoon shade and much warmer soil temperatures from those from the landscaping fabric. Yeah, they're already popping. But peppers are the kind of plants that they pop. So they will seem to not do much, but then all of a sudden, boom, 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 they'll start doubling in their size. It's incredible. So, yeah. Big West says a really good fertilizer is love. That's absolutely true, my friend. It's the best of all because that's what's going to make you do all the right little things. Guys, look at this. This is an onion from last year. Okay? Last year. So I'm about to make a short, an Instagram video to all the people that are talking about, oh, you got to let it wait till every one of them's fallen over. No, you don't. You have to wait till a few of them fall over and then harvest all of them. That's when you want to do it. That's how you will get these dense ones that last all winter long. This is from last year. It's still rock hard, guys, and full of pungent sulfuric compounds. Yeah. Hello, Gringa Gardener, my friend in Uruguay. Nice. Ooh, what? Those paprika plants make a cowboy candy. Are they that spicy? I hope not. I sure hope not. Because I typically make cowboy candy with jalapenos. But guys, jalapenos are very inconsistent. Do you notice that? There are some jalapenos that are blazing hot, and then other ones are not hot so much. But this year, I got tricked into planting a plant called a jalapeno. It's a hybrid, like a burpee hybrid, but someone thought it was a different plant, and they gave it to me to plant. But then I started looking at the tag. I said, this is a jalapeno, a heatless jalapeno, which doesn't make any sense. That's like saying a flavorless jalapeno, you know? So we'll see. We'll see. I don't have much high hopes for it, but so a jalapeno. Yes, yes. Guys, another couple of things. This thing was $5 from Menards, and I'm using it all the time now. I always thought that they were like kind of silly for like great grandmas or something, you know, but they actually are very useful, and I'm using it all the time, especially planting into the fabric or the plastic mulch. Yeah. Another couple tools I've tested out for you guys that I am loving are these Fisker's planting tools. There's this little trowel, and there's this, they call it a weeder, but it's got like a serration on this side. I'm using these things all the time. They got super long handles, which is really nice. Not those silly little handles. They got long, strong handles. You could get two hands on them and really get in there. So as of right now, I'm loving these things. So we will see. We will see. I'll put them to the test the rest of the year. But as of right now, I'm using them all the time. Like every time I'm planting something, I'm using these now. So yeah. Another super good tool that I use all the time in the garden is one of these old school like pack spades from the military surplus store. These things work wonders, and you can turn it sideways, and I sharpen the edge, you know, with a file, and it can, boom, you can really dig deep and cut roots and all kinds of good stuff with this little thing. So these are really nice. Ooh, habanada, nada pino, nada pino. That's way better. So Tom Vardaka says, I love those tools. Yes, definitely. This one was the most surprising to me. I thought it would not be any use, but I'm using it all the time now. Along with these Fisker's tools, it got real easy. And when I'm training the stuff to climb, I like to use this stuff, you know, because it's wire and it's soft. It doesn't cut into the plants like some of the other things can. So this stuff's all right. It's pretty good. That's what I use. Let's see. Val says, did I miss what you said about planting a fall garden? Are you starting indoors? I have no room to plant for fall. You must have missed because I said quite a bit about it, but it would be, so yeah, you want to start them up outside. You want to start them up outside ideally because then there's no hardening off period. You know, we started up indoors in the spring because it's so cold. But I don't know where you're at. You might have to start it indoors because it's too hot, maybe. So still though, it will be the same. You will start the things you will transplant 1 month before you would typically direct sow the seeds. So the beets, the peas, the carrots, here we direct sow them August 1st, give or take. So therefore we start the cabbages and the leafy greens, the shijimisa and all the other stuff. We start those, which we're going to transplant out 1 month prior to that. So right about now, the first week of July, we will start all of those by seed to transplant August 1st at about the same time that we direct sow the peas and the beets and the carrots. Yeah. Alberto says, what are you most excited to ferment this year? Ooh, I planted the tomatoes you fermented to give it a try. You planted the Cherokee or the purple bumblebees? Oh, you're going to love them. You're going to love them, definitely. So that's good. I would say the fermentation stuff, for me, the tomatoes is probably going to be my favorite. Definitely. Those tomatoes are so good. And I was experimenting last year to really try, because so many people were like, I don't want the salt. There's too much salt in those tomatoes. I'm like, well, okay. So I tried to reduce the salt and it didn't work. They spoiled. So that was really upsetting. So this year I'm going right back to the exact recipe that I did previously. And so long as you're using a high quality salt, you don't need to worry about the salt being an issue. Salt is really good for you. Megan says, because we seem to be a month ahead in Michigan, starting fall transplants a little early, is it a bad idea? No, it's a perfectly fine idea. So just make sure that you use, for the fall transplant stuff, we don't use anything smaller than like a solo cup or the 2-inch bootstrap farmer pots. We don't start up any of that stuff in those tiny little cubes or anything like that, because that's just not enough soil. So yeah, it's not a bad idea. No. So long as they don't get root bound, so long as you feed them, you'll need to feed them. Big West says, which tomato was your number one pick for that? For fermenting, purple bumblebees, definitely. Now they also, Artisan Seed Company, the company that makes the purple bumblebee, they also make now a sunset bumblebee, which is a yellow bumblebee. So I planted a couple of those this year. So we'll see how those do. Mom Computer says, every cell in your body needs salt to thrive. Absolutely correct. Yes, Teresa says 2.2% sea salt by weight for fermentation. Yes, except with things like tomatoes, because there's so much. I found it needs to be a bit higher for tomatoes. The Mr. Dubity says, how does straw have different sprays than hay? Are they not harvested at the same time, or do they chop off the seed heads and leave standing straw until later? Well, it's very different though, because in hay fields they will hay is feed for the animals, where straw is the leftover byproduct from the wheat harvesting. And so they're very different things, different purposes, different plants altogether. So yeah, rewind to the front of the video to see that. Oh, VA Green says, check out Lesh line of shovels. They're pretty much indestructible. Let me type that in so I don't forget it right now. Lesch. Lesch. Lesh digging tool? Ooh, okay. I will look that up. Thank you. 94 minutes. Okay, guys. Well, looks like we are out of time. So thank you guys very much for hanging out. Check out the video coming this week, which will be probably about the fall garden, definitely. And I'm in zone 5/6, northern Indiana, and I just yesterday planted the run of Yukon Gold potatoes. Okay, so you can do it, and you will get a nice crop that will store well into the winter time, no problem. So you can get on it. So if you have something that is not thriving right now, don't just sit there and nurse it along and waste that space. Pull it up and then plant the Yukon Gold potatoes. And you know how I got them? I went to the co-op, just the food co-op, the organic store, $2 a pound. And fortunately, they were already kind of soft and sprouting, chitting at the store. So I was super fortunate. So they're going to break dormancy fast. So yeah, I did that, and I just added some Viking nutrients. We pulled up the garlic. I added the Viking nutrients, put the potatoes on top, and then covered with a foot of fresh straw, and that's it. That's it. So once they start to sprout up a little bit, then I will add some more straw. Yeah. So the Teresa says, thanks for the tip on potatoes. Did not know I had time. Didn't realize. Thank you. Appreciate everything you do. You're a beacon of guiding light. That's a wonderful, thank you. That's wonderful. Yes, you definitely can plant potatoes right now, but make sure they're a fast growing variety. Don't be trying to plant russets or German butterballs or that kind, or any Austrian crescent. Don't be planting those kind. You got to make sure they're a fast. Okay. Jeffrey said, did I miss a response to if you did or will be doing a video or short on your watermelon juice blend recipe? Ooh, yes. I will be doing one, but I haven't. The watermelons are not ready yet, so I might wait till the watermelons are ready. Yeah. So, yes. Okay, guys. So we will see you guys next week. Make sure you check out the links in the description. If you shop on Amazon, enter Amazon through those links, through my storefront, please. And then anything that you purchase, even if it's not on my storefront, doesn't matter. I will get the credit for, which is great because it's better than Amazon keeping 100% of it. Yes. So check that out, and make sure that you hit the thumbs up on all the videos. That supports the channel. Make sure that you comment. Make sure that you share the videos to your social media platforms. That all helps the channel to grow, and we need that right now. Yes. So the Thrive Tribe, we will see you guys. Man, we will see you guys Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, and the rest of you, we will see you next week at 12 noon Eastern time on Saturday. Jerry Jr. says, can we make our own Viking nutrients? No, not a chance. Don't even try.